I thought I'd use the video for this week to talk about my inspirations for the Aetherbound rule system. As you see, I'm going to talk about DC20. But before I talk about DC20, I'm going to talk about my main inspirations and more established systems. So I have the Player's Handbook, 5th edition. This is not my main inspiration. It's just a book that was on top of my little stack. I did actually start with Dungeons and Dragons 5th editions in terms of when I was a TM, and I played a little bit as a player, but I have most of my experience from running a D&D 5th edition game when I was in college. And my main inspiration, Pathfinder 2nd edition. I am in two game sessions, but they take so long. Every one is every 2 weeks, another is every week, and I need more sessions. But I also run a session that's based on Pathfinder 2nd edition. But as I've been developing Aetherbound, the rules have been changing and evolving. In our next session, we're going to have the biggest update because I got some good inspirations from DC20. And then I'm just going to show I have my GURPS book. I'm going to tackle this because the goal of Aetherbound is to be similar to a simulation type of experience. I want it to be an enjoyable game, but I want it to be a realistic world. So if anyone wants to create stories within the world, then they can. Also, I want to set it up for whenever I start looking at, well, I already started looking into developing games for the system, then it's already designed with that in mind, which is the route I'm going. So I want to talk about some of the main things that I got from DC20, what I implemented, what I like about it so far. I haven't combed through every single piece of this document yet because I'm trying to figure out what do I like, how is it going to affect what I already have for Aetherbound, instead of just going through and reading everything, because I think it's best to just go through each one and pick them apart. It's a really good system from what I've seen so far. The first thing is the attribute systems. They reduced it from the traditional 6 that you'll be used to from D&D 5th edition or Pathfinder 2nd edition. I haven't played many other TTRPG systems aside from that. I tried out this Naruto D20 based on D20 Modern. I didn't get to play much of that, but it's very well developed. Anyway, also I tried out a Dragon Age system that was for D6 die, and I prefer the D20 system. But anyway, you have might, agility, charisma, intelligence. I haven't read charisma too much, but I'm pretty sure that they combined charisma and wisdom, or I should say Alan, the dungeon coach, because he's the developer of the system, and he also combined strength and constitution. And before, when I first saw this, I was like, okay, I'm so used to, I'm just starting out on this system creation, and I feel like whenever anyone is developing a system, then they should start with a base and then change it until what they want it to become, and then over time it's just going to look completely different. And it turns out Aetherbound is ending up that way. From it's going to be completely different from, well, not completely different, but very different from Pathfinder 2nd edition. And I've read a lot of resources, watched several videos, went on Reddit asking questions, and other people on there pointed me to different resources. And one of the things I heard is that there's a little debate. Some people might say that it's better to start from scratch, but taking my experience when I was pursuing online businesses and stuff like that, it's better to go with an approved model if you intend to be successful with your system and get other people to play it. It's better to go with a system that's already tried and true, tested, people already are interested in, instead of trying to innovate. And for example, games in these spaces, it's like, how can you innovate? You can find things from different places. Even if you look at these 4 attribute, you probably can notice things from other systems. I'm not an expert and experienced in a lot of systems compared to others, but other people, I'm sure they can find similarities. I know that he had an interview with Mark Seifter, and he mentioned some of the things. For example, it was one of the levels in the mastery systems. I don't know if it was skills or trades, but how it progresses, it was similar to 4E. For example, the increasing abilities by half level was a 4E thing. Pathfinder 2nd edition decided to do full level. In Aetherbound, I'm not doing level at all because I like the 5th edition idea that there's that even a lower level character can tackle a higher level threat. In fifth edition, the way they implemented it is that players are overpowered, but the way I see Aetherbound is running and the abilities higher level characters get, some people might say, "Oh, now it's going to do the fifth edition thing, and now 10th level party can slay Tiamat." I think like a 12th or 13th level party could beat Tiamat in the Rise of Tiamat campaign or something like that. I've heard, but I've thought about it and I saw the abilities some of these monsters get, the damage they do. Like the player characters, the party is not going to be able to compete. And even when the parties get to a certain level without even changing the AC and attack bonuses, lower level creatures like are going to get demolished. Because with my party, they're level 3 right now. Had them fight some CR -1 creatures. So that's like a 4 level difference in terms of numbers. And even without adding the bonus to level, my party just mopped them up. Or some of them did get hit and stuff like that, but it wasn't a challenge. So for me, I don't think I need to add the proficiency to the level. And the reason I'm not doing that is because, like, if you do that for AC, then at a certain point, lower level creatures just can't hit, and that's kind of boring when you have lower level creatures. I know Pathfinder added something in the terms of troops, and I want to bring that into Aetherbound. Like, at a certain point, there will be no point in throwing in the lower level creatures. The way Aetherbound do it, you can use the lower level creatures a little longer, but you'll still need troops whenever you fight higher level. Like when they get 10th level, then you'll probably want to use a goblin troop comprising like 16 goblins and stuff like that. So I'm okay with combining strength and constitution, and I decided to adopt that with Aetherbound because I was listening to someone talk about the system, and he mentioned how constitution divides people's focus, because players, no matter the character, want constitution because it affects hit points, it affects how soon they die, stuff like that. Or I probably should rephrase that. Instead of how soon they die, sound like a DM. I say how long they can survive. Like it's more for the player. I don't like the removal of wisdom because I do feel like wisdom and charisma are different enough to have different attributes. And intelligence, I like that. That is different. For Aetherbound, I decided to continue the strength and the constitution. So I'm gonna have that. So we're gonna have 5, and I like the 5 theme because a lot of the themes are in multiples of 5. So my initial plan was to have 15 classes in the core, but they'll probably make it too big. So probably 10 races, 10 classes, 5 attributes, 5 saves, because I decided to apply saves to the attributes. I've been going through the thought process and trying to see. At first, I was gonna stick to the core, like fortitude, reflex, save, but I eventually changed dexterity to agility, and then I thought, okay, not having saves for each attribute after I change this, it might throw people off and stuff like that. Why do you have saves for 4 of the attributes but not have a save for intelligence? You know, like we need some consistency. So I like the streamlining attributes. Variant rules, I have no idea what these variant rules. Prime modifiers are nice, and it's nice to have classes use the prime modifier, meaning your highest score or a highest attribute is used for your class. So now you can be a weak barbarian, but use charisma to attack, and you can be effective. And I'm okay with that in terms of like a game, but it just doesn't sound realistic to me for simulation. I know the human mind is very capable of rationalizing a lot of things. So I'm pretty sure this can be explained and rationalized away. But this is again based on his talk with Mark Seifter. I should include a link to that. I'll include a link to that and to the DC20 Kickstarter page, so you can go and back it. But Mark also said that having those restrictions in classes and have restrictions in a game can also allow more creativity within the confines of a system. Um, and it's like counterintuitive. He says something along the lines of that, hey, if we can just use any modifier for a class, now I can just look in the game. If I was a power gamer, then I'll find out, okay, based on what this is and this, which is the best attribute to use, and then just go for that for any class and stuff like that. It might not necessarily play out like that, but I am on the camp of certain classes having specific attributes that they can use. And I'm open to the idea of branching out and expanding what attributes. For example, the fighter in Pathfinder Second Edition can use either strength or dexterity as their main stat. Okay, I understand. Maybe we can expand that to intelligence. Maybe we can expand it to charisma. Maybe we can expand fighter because fighter's so versatile. Maybe we can expand it. But a barbarian, definitely strength and maybe dexterity. Nothing else. Maybe dexterity. But even the rage feature, if I'm being, uh, that could be interesting because there was now that we combine strength and constitution. There's no issue. Like in fifth edition, dexterity is a god stat. So there's like really not a very good reason to use strength for a build. But now that might combine strength and constitution, like there's now kind of debate might and strength versus agility. I do have to play around with it and like do some thought process and trying to see, okay, are they balanced now? Are might and agility balanced? Because agility is going to determine AC, but might now you can wear heavy armor, so you can get high AC too. And but agility has a lot of saves related to that. For example, fireball and stuff like that. So that's going to be interesting to play out and play test to see if I want to make a barbarian that could use might or agility. Because if they can use might or agility, there might be a barbarian that just everyone's going to pick agility. But if I keep the rage, that one part of rage where you get the bonus damage, more damage if you use strength or might in this case. Good idea. I haven't dived into the trades, but I'm also going to have it where there are certain I was going to call them professions, so I'll probably keep it my idea with professions. There's not that big of a difference, but these are the type of things that don't increase as you level up your character. They increase when you do the skill, kind of similar to Skyrim, because some of the things, for example, smithing. Let's say smithing was a skill. Okay, now I'm getting experience and I'm fighting monsters, and okay, now I level up. Now I can put skill points in smithing. But let's say you've been adventuring all this time. How in the world how you becoming legendary in smithing? And then let's say I have an NPC who did go out adventuring, but in the world, in the game world, they're considered a legendary smith, but they're weak. Like some of these professions, a person can stay at home without going through danger and still advance in proficiency in certain things without getting strength. Sure, you can explain it, and in terms of NPC, you can just build them that way. But I like the game mechanic that way. So things like alchemy, enchanting, smithing, all of these things would be professions. Even performance, because you can find some good people. In fact, let's go to the skills. I like to use this because it's easier to go through. I really should, since it's just page 17. Skills. Let's see what trades they have. Or Alan has. Trade mastery, combat. I would love to see if they have. Probably can just go through it. And as I'm talking, trade checks, trade tools, um, trade. And also this one, A plus. I think that's a relic of fifth edition to keep things smaller. Of course, I'm gonna stick with 10 because I like the multiples of 5. Now, since I'm going in order, we can take this off. Since we're not gonna, we'll get to trades when we get to trades. I do like the idea of the dynamic attacks. I haven't implemented it completely because I'm still have the Pathfinder Second Edition base, and you do have the critical hits. So I might just keep the critical hits, stuff like that, because my damage is not going to be as low. And I'm really thinking about transitioning to flat damage because I did some research and I found out it was easier to code for video games and stuff like that. And the more I think about it, the more I'm inclined to flat damage, because that way now I can be more precise when I'm deciding spells and stuff like that. I haven't gotten to spells yet. I'm calling it favor and disfavor, just like Pathfinder Second Edition took the idea of advantage and disadvantage and made fortune and misfortune, but they really, from the way it's implemented, it's more like a side thing because they don't use it that much. They have the flat numbers and stuff like that, which I'm perfectly fine. I think with Aetherbound, we'll have a little mix between the two. else is good? I definitely wanted to get, that's why I didn't want to scroll all the way. I probably should have started from the beginning when I scroll. This is all over the place. But there's so much good stuff here. Attribute limits. Implemented this. The way I had it written out, there were attribute limits, but the way I described it was so convoluted because Pathfinder Second Edition, the way they do it, and when I initially thought about it, this was when I first beginning to create the system, and I didn't have as much information as I have now, and then I did come to the realization that, hey, I'm creating my own system. I can do whatever I want. So even if I'm using Pathfinder Second Edition as a base, so it's using it as a base, but eventually going to do something different. The way they describe it is, okay, with your free ability boost, blah, 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 you increase it, the score by +2, or let's just say they use modifiers now. You increase the modifier by +1, but when it gets to +4, you're going to need 2 free ability boosts to increase it by +1. Um, and I understand that that's a way to keep creatures' power in check, but I don't think it's completely necessary. I think you can just do it this way, give a +1. Because I say it's convoluted in the sense that now players are going to have to mark, okay, they put 1 free ability boost there, and now they're going to have to wait until another time. It can be done. It's not that much work, but you can just take away a friction and just say, okay, you're at this limit. You have a limit there. Okay, so now while you're waiting for this limit to increase another one. And I know that having the way Pathfinder Second Edition did it with having 2 at that +4 is like uh, a relic of the point buy system in the sense that they're trying to showcase, okay, there's a higher cost at these levels. And personally, I don't think that's necessary. Just have a limit. Simple. Prime modifier, we talked about prime modifier, skills and trades. All I had to do was scroll down, and then they'll give me skills. All of these things make sense for them to be skills. All of these things you would do in normal adventuring life, normal athletics, probably intimidate. I like how intimidate was moved to might, because intimidation, just because you're low on charisma but you have high strength, you shouldn't be bad at intimidation. Now, maybe add intimidation and charisma, because I try to think of the logic, and maybe you have a strong personality, but you're physically weak, you should be able to intimidate, because like you know the small little dogs and the chihuahuas and all that stuff, and sometimes small dogs are able to get a big dog to back off, so they got some intimidation. They bark, right? So that can be allowed. Prime awareness, you had to change the name from perception. Nah, I don't think it needs to be tied to. I think Pathfinder Second Edition taking it away from the normal skills and just making it a class feature of some sorts is good, number one, but I think I'm all right with keeping it for wisdom. It makes more sense for me, and then just have different things for determining initiative depending on what you're doing, in social situations, diplomacy, if you're sneaking up on an enemy, use stealth. So I like how Pathfinder Second Edition did it. We're not going to go into each of these. If you want me to make another video, we'll get to going through this in comparison, but I like trades. All I had to do is go to artistry. I probably wouldn't use that name. Well, probably not going to use artistry, Aetherbound. But at first, I was trying to think, because when I first saw this, I was all like, okay, makes sense. But I have a bard. And a lot of its features use performance. So if I'm making trades require different leveling progressions, then the bard might not be leveling up. But now I have the thought, hey, for example, let's have certain classes that use trades for their ability. Another special feature of their class now, just by leveling up in their class, they level up in the trade, because by nature of practicing the trade, or practicing or doing what they do in their class, they are developing their trade. So for now, when a bard level up, he can put points and increase his proficiencies in the trades and get abilities in the trade as if he was doing the trade himself, which is a nice little extra bonus things to have. So this opens up another extra that makes Bard slightly more powerful than a traditional character, at least in my mind. That opens up for the Alchemist, because that's another different class from Pathfinder Second Edition that I want to bring in. Opens paths for the Artificer. I think at Pathfinder Second Edition it cost the Inventor. I haven't even looked how they did it, enjoy. For Pathfinder 2nd Edition, I'm keeping the Muses because Muses is amazing. Barbarians, their instincts are amazing. The fighters, I added breathing styles for the fighter because it just makes sense. And fighters need to be boosted up because I'm not nerfing casters. We're not going to do that. So marshals have to step up their game. Herbalism, perfect trade. Some of these trades, I'm like, do we really need to mention trade? They can be. Sure, why not? Making it more granular, having these different types of trades, which is nice. Vehicles. Now, a mechanic, that could be a thing for a mechanic because that's the name of the class I wanted to use, which would probably be my version of the artificer / inventor. Now, the mechanic, just like when I do the bard and make performance trades, they will choose one of the trades, and that's what they develop as they level up in bard. Now, with the mechanic, I could put that in here. Okay, and one of the probably have a different category, but one of the crafting. Ooh, yes, have a category for crafting trade. Okay, you pick out of these crafting trade vehicles, guns, dun 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 dun, and then that's the type of stuff you progress as you're doing mechanic thing, and you have a focus. And those different things can be considered subclasses or whatever, similar to have you'll have bloodlines as sorcerers. So this is pretty cool. The video is getting a little long, so having mastery is a perfect place to stop. So I did take some things for there. So if you like this video, press the like button. I'll make more videos later on what I gotten into, and even next week I can continue from here and we can talk about things that I added, because the more time passes, the more playtest sessions I have, the more I'm talking with my players, what features they like, what features don't like, and then I can even talk about what features I removed, for example, stamina actions. But thank you for watching.